Have you ever felt like you knew something deep down, but couldn't quite explain why? In this episode, I speak with Trasa Murray, a Galactic Astrologer and Akashic Records reader, about the quiet power of inner knowing. She shares how she went from seeking answers outside of herself to realizing that the most sacred wisdom was already within. We talk about soul blueprints, the fear of using our voice, and how to finally stop waiting for permission to be who you came here to be. This conversation is a beautiful reminder. You don't need to be fixed. You just need to remember. Trasa Murray, welcome to the Oracle podcast. I'm excited to have you and learn a bit more about your story. You are one of Oracle's vetted practitioners. You are a Galactic Astrologer and an Akashic Records reader. And I know that you've been clear cognizant from a very early age. I'd love to find out today, in this period of your life, what do you think is your mission?
My mission is actually to help people remember who they are, why they're here, what their gifts are, and to kind of bring it through in coherent, practical form and just kind of help them to have the self-trust and the inner knowing within themselves to kind of go on out into life and live that mission and that purpose. So that's really my mission.
Let's talk a little bit about your life. What have been some of the, would you say, recurring themes that you've kind of struggled with, things that you've had to overcome, you've learned from in your life?
For me, it's definitely giving my power away to external authority, whether it's books or courses or always relying on other people and not coming back to myself. That has been my biggest kind of a reoccurring themes, and probably using my own voice as well. But I've started to kind of come back in and actually realize that I have been, as you were talking about, clear cognizance from a very early age. That inner knowing was always there since I was very, very young, very little, but I forgot about it. So I came back, and when I started using the Akashic Records to tap into my clients' records and bring through the most prevalent kind of important information that their soul needs to know, it just came so easily for me, so easily. And if I had known that when I was very, very young, it would just have been so amazing. But yeah, that giving away my power to external authority, I've now claimed that back myself. I fully trust myself on my own inner authority. And I want others to feel that themselves, to just fully trust themselves and also use your voice. I'm starting to see a lot of people are actually starting to use their voice more, which is very important.
I really love that you've said that, because I see that left, right, and center, people giving their power away. I mean, especially to government.
Yes.
But also to doctors, to teachers, to anybody that's got some sort of title, and not listening to ourselves versus that, right? I mean, we hear it and we take it as, wow, this is it, when we actually know that it's not. So how did you go from that to trusting yourself?
Just little initiations, the way we all have our own initiations, and you think, question yourself, was this wrong? Was this information, this person has come through what they were saying, it wasn't right, it didn't feel right, when something doesn't feel right, and then you start questioning. I really thought that they knew more than me. So then you come back to yourself, and for me, I was using the Akashic Records, and of course it was wrong to lay all my trust in somebody else. So I started using the Akashic Records more, trusting myself more, going out into nature more, and kind of asking the questions, and I would get the answer straight away, almost instantly. The answer would just come, and just using my voice. Like, I wouldn't be the type of person to kind of use my voice as much as others, but now I'm just stepping into that power and using my voice more. So just practice, really practice, and then you just start getting that self-confidence to know that the answers were always there within you the whole time. And using your voice, it just gives you that confidence to know that you're not going to be murdered in this lifetime for using it, whereas past lifetimes maybe, yes.
Yeah. And how do you get over the fear of using your voice? Because I think that some people might be hearing this and go, great, but like, I'm too scared, or I'll be judged, or what if I'm wrong? Or what if what I'm saying is not true?
That ask yourself, what if I don't use my voice? It's even worse if you don't, because, for example, I was on a podcast there a few weeks ago with an astrology school, and one lady was saying that she's starting to use her voice more against, somebody who's very powerful in her life. But if she let that person overpower her, what if her life trajectory would have been just going down a wrong path? So the other alternative is, what if you don't use your voice?
I know you have been very intuitive, claircognizant from a young age, and I think you've always been interested in the more spiritual, esoterical topics, right?
Yes.
Do you know what your gifts are? Is there something that you kind of were born with that you realized in your journey that, oh, wow, I have this gift?
I think the number one for me is the well, that insatiable appetite for kind of spirituality and metaphysical. I would soak it up and I would talk to other people about it, and sometimes they wouldn't get it, you know. So it was just on that quest. And like yourself, you've traveled to lots of countries, and so have I. So even in those countries, you would kind of immerse yourself into the ancient culture and just absorb it. So it would be that gift of kind of insatiable thirst for knowledge and metaphysical. And for me, it's definitely the clear cognizance, that inner knowing. And I think most of us actually do have these gifts of inner knowing. It's just kind of believing in yourself and trusting it. Self trust, really, at the end of the day, it comes down to.
Yeah. And you know what? As you're talking, I think of my children, and because I'm so aware of what the world we live in and how life works, at least my
Yeah.
belief of how it works, that I'm very cognizant of giving them the power, of allowing them to trust themselves. But I
Mm,
can't recall as a kid if my parents, I mean, look, my parents were always very encouraging and very loving. I had a great upbringing, but I don't know if I was instilled like consciously that belief in myself, trust yourself,
mm,
believe in yourself. How was your childhood? How was did you
mm.
grow up with that external support to believe in yourself,
You
or
see,
not so
that
much?
is a thing. I actually have not met many people who've grown up with that childhood where their parents have said, I believe in you. You can do anything you want.
Yes.
It's very rare to come across someone like that. But our
Yeah.
kids are actually, we can instill that in them. And, you know,
Mm,
you can do whatever you want in life, and, you know, you can do it. So I think it's because their parents didn't instill it in them, and it's kind of had a
yeah.
trickle effect. But my mother was always spiritual, and she was always into angels and the angelic realm, and told us so many stories and instilled that spirituality into us as a family. And I've always believed in kind of the other, you know, the other world, as they say here in Ireland. So it's the angelic realm, the angels. I've always believed in them, and without a doubt, without a doubt. Things even on her deathbed when she was in and out of consciousness, she would talk about how the world was formed and just secrets of the universe, and talking about angels who were there in the room with her. So it's without a doubt, I 100% believe in it. So yes, she instilled that in me. So I'm grateful.
Nice. Great. And then were there some moments in your life that kind of marked your spiritual journey? Something that may have happened or realizations that you had?
Yes. For me, you know, the way you start off and you go traveling, you think the world is great. You're in your early 20s, you're studying, and then, you know, life hits you. It's usually around the 29 mark, which is your first Saturn in return. And that's where it kind of hits a lot of people. But for me, I think it would have been kind of in 2012, my mother had passed away. But leading up to that, I was immersing myself in so many books. And as I said, when she was there talking about, she was in and out of consciousness, and she was talking about how the world is formed and the angels in the room. You know, I would be asking her what's there, and she would tell me. And it just confirmed to me that the veil is so thin, you know, and just the confidence to know that where she's going, she's completely protected. Completely protected. And that's where people pass on. They're completely protected. They have their loved ones coming for them. And then after that, I wanted to know where she goes, where she went, and where did other people go when they passed away. So that led me to a book called Journey of Souls by Dr. Michael Newton. Have you heard of it?
I love that. I've read it a couple
Yeah,
times. I actually read it when my brother passed away. It was one of the first books I read, and I absolutely
yeah,
loved it. Opened my eyes,
yeah.
got me really interested into life after death and so much more. But yeah, go on.
Yeah, it's life changing, life
Yeah.
changing. I would recommend that book to anybody who has somebody very close to pass away. It gives you that kind of like light-hearted feeling, that knowing that taken care of, and we're all going to be taken care of, and it was all meant to happen the way it is. And you know, we all come in with our predestined life
Mm,
path and life review at the end. So I highly
yeah.
recommend it. So I think it was those two pivotal moments, my mother, and then the book would have been the life
Yeah.
changer. And you know, you have your few initiations along the way where you have to use your voice, a few of those moments as well. So you
Yeah.
learn. It's
Yeah.
all a learning curve.
One of the books that I read after that was Anita Murjani's Dying to Be Me, because she had a
Yes.
near-death experience. Great book. And I've since
Yeah.
interviewed a lot of people that have had NDEs. And I mean, it's absolutely
Yeah.
fascinating. It makes you feel really good because we're here
Yeah.
for such a short period of time, and everything is fine. And everything is good on the other side. And it's, in a way, I always say it's a little bit weird that I'm looking forward to dying one day
Mm,
because I know that it's going to be a great experience.
yeah.
And tell me, in this journey, how did you get into the Akashic Records? And maybe if you can explain exactly what the Akashic Records are first.
Yeah. So the Akashic Records, we can tap into this field of potentiality where it holds our Akashic Records from the lives that we've had in past lives and the galactic lives as well. Any of us can access it. There is nothing important. There's no hierarchy. Anybody can do it. And I would love for more people to actually know it themselves so that they can actually empower themselves to know it. I ask specific questions. Before I do a client's report, I actually get myself into a state where I bring my frequency up and just get into a very nice calming receptive state. Then I obviously have a recent photograph of them with their exact birth details, their date of birth, their time of birth, and their birth location, and I ask specific questions of their intention. And first of all, I actually asked permission to access their Akashic records, which is very important. And it's very simple. So it is, I would ask simple questions that their soul needed to know at that moment, at that time in their lives, and it would all lead to the next question. And then I would confirm it all in there. When I would study I'd spend hours studying their natal chart and then go on to study their galactic chart and bring it all together in a kind of practical form for them at the end. So the first part of the reading is the Akashic records, and the other part then is their natal fixed stars, and then the galactic part. And yeah, so it would all be
Mm.
focused around their intention. But I think every single person should learn the Akashic records. I really do. It's a powerful tool. Very easy to use as well with a pendulum.
How do you learn it in a
You can
nutshell?
just, in a nutshell, I think you just have to get yourself into kind of believing that, you have guides here helping you out. If you just tap in, for me, I'd work with the angelic realm and the Tuat Day, which is Ireland's the greatest tribe. And sometimes I call in Mary Magdalene, Mother Mary, Yeshua. It depends anyway, how deep I want to go. And everyone has their own guides, so you can call in whoever you want, but just to bring in more deeper kind of knowledge to come through, and just ask specific questions. And the main thing is trust. And you'd have your sheets there in front of you, and you have your pendulum, one that you picked out yourself and that only you use. And it's just very easy to use, it really is. But it comes down to trust. I mean, that's really what it comes down to.
Yeah, yeah. Can you maybe tell me the difference between galactic astrology and traditional astrology?
Yeah, so the traditional astrology would be your kind of what I'd focus on is the North Node, their sun, their moon, what they're kind of born with. It's like a blueprint, a snapshot in the sky of that exact moment that their soul has been born. And their galactic astrology is where we bring in kind of like the galactic is the cosmic points, like the super cosmic center, the super galactic center. These are cosmic points in the sky. Or if for example, if I see something like their North Node is conjunct, I know this is kind of goes over some people's head. The North Node is conjunct a fixed star like Pleiades or something like that. I know that that soul would have had a past life connected to the Pleiades, and they are actually helping them with their North Node mission in this life. So I tap in and check further how many lives they had there, what was their role there, what was the gifts that they had there, and what gifts did they bring back with them. So it all kind of ties in together. I don't bring in everything, just the most. Otherwise, you would spend weeks and months doing somebody's report.
And so, what is the advantage for somebody to know their astrological map, galactic and earthly, and also tapping into the Akashic records? Like, what do they get out of it?
For people to know their blocks, number one, I think is very important. I don't think it's spiritual bypassing where everything is great. I don't think that's the right approach to life. I think it's important to know your blocks, and it's there in your blueprint, your Akashic or your astrology. It's right there. I can see your Chiron, your Lilith, your Saturn, everything that's going on, what house area, what kind of themes have been played out in your life. And once that person knows that, I had a client there, I think it was last year, and I was telling her that she had a specific alignment, and she was saying, why is everybody else successful and not me, and I'm doing the exact same work? And then I saw Saturn there, and that kind of slows things down and kind of helps her develop patience, but later in life she's going to thrive in her career. So she was thinking, it wasn't my fault, as that these things aren't your fault. And another client was telling me that, well, I actually could see from her records there and her astrology that her voice, because she had so many planets in her third house, which is about the voice and communication, and she's stifled to kind of get her voice across. And she said that from a very young age, she was put down for speaking up, and meant to, not speak at all. So she stifled her voice. And then she, when she sees it there, that's in your record, your soul has chosen to come in with that in this lifetime and actually use that energy and play with that energy and learn the gift from it. So you don't keep stumbling over it again and again and again. So that's why I think it's very important to know your blocks, number one, and then your mission, your purpose, why you're here. I think that's very important to know as well. And combine the two together. And also the Akashic record, I bring through people's guides, who they are, their soul color, soul frequency, bring it all together. And it just gives you confidence. Like, for example, I had an Irish woman. Most of my clients are from all over the world, but this time it was an Irish lady. And I was talking about her mission. And just at that exact time that I was stepping into kind of, giving her information about her mission, it was exactly 11:11. So the two of us screamed with delight. We were just thinking that's powerful confirmation right there. And if you saw her at the start of the call and then afterwards, she was like a new woman. She was just this beamer of confidence. And she goes, and as every single person says to me at the end, I always knew it. I just always knew it, but I just needed to be a reminder of it. And she just stepped out then and she has a lot more confidence and she's fully embracing her role now. So she's not stepping back and playing small the way she used to, because it's all in the
Yeah.
chart. It's all there. It can't lie. It's a
Yeah.
language. Yeah. Of the stars.
Yeah, and it is like that, isn't it? That really you're just showing people something that they already know because our
Yeah.
soul knows,
Yeah.
right? And we also know, like deep down we know, it's just a bit blurry and we can't hear it. And so it's lovely to get that confirmation from people that, yeah, it feels right to them. They always knew. And like you said, we can all access it.
Yes.
We just have these beliefs probably that are blocking us or,
Yes.
there's a lot of layers, I suppose.
Yeah.
And yeah, tell me, so what would be your ideal client, the person that would get the most out of these sessions?
Yeah. So the person who always comes to me is always somebody who's on crossroads. They've done lots of healing on themselves and they're just here and they want to know. And it doesn't matter what age they are. They could be in their 60s, 70s or 30s. And they just want to know, like, what am I here to do? I know there's something, a bigger mission. And whether they've left their job and made redundant or they're on that crossroads and they just want like a little bit of information. That's who comes to me. They're the people who
Yeah.
come all the time. And they're absolutely open to transformation, so they are. And that's what I love, is that they're willing to listen and they're open to it. And it's just amazing. So
Yeah, lovely. So you told us a little bit about how the session goes, but maybe if you can just run us through, because I know that for you, you want to get some details beforehand and you do some
yeah.
work before the actual session starts, right? So tell us what information you need and like practically how the session goes.
Yeah. So what they do is when they book with me is they give me obviously their name, their email address, but the most important information would be their date of birth, their exact time of birth, and their birth location. Now, if it's Americans, it's such a big country. There's always they're usually not in the same state that they were born in, so that I'll have information there looking for where they relocated to, so I can check their relocation chart and their intention. Like, what do they want to get out of the session? What do they want to get out of the reading? What do you want to know? Your most burning desire. Like, do you want to know what your purpose is, what your gifts are, what your blocks are, what's holding you back, or what your next step is, things like that. They're the main kind of questions. And then a recent photograph of just themselves so that I can tap into their Akashic records with their permission. So and then
Yeah.
I'd go away and work on it for hours and hours, come back to them and arrange a Zoom call with us, which is usually about an hour and a half. Record the Zoom and they'll get it in audio as well as the digital report as well.
Okay. And when you say you work hours and hours on it, is it because you're looking at the astral charts and what else are you doing?
Yeah, I'm looking at their astrology. Well, first of all, I'm tapping into their Akashic records and that takes a long time. So I bring through the most relevant information that their soul needs to know. I tap into their higher self to bring through that information. And then afterwards, I'll go into their natal astrology and then their galactic astrology after that, bring it all together. Focused again, as I was saying, on their intention. And,
Yeah, because your session, when you actually have the session with them, you're more like telling them what you found out, right?
Yes.
It's less a Q&A right there and then, but more about, hey, this is all I found out. This is what came through. And then maybe a couple questions, clarifying questions, I don't know, from them afterwards. Is that it?
Yes, that's it. Yeah. And they usually talk throughout the call. That's no problem as well. If I get to a part and they'd say, "Oh, yeah, that happened to me at this age." And oh, yeah, I didn't know that. And it's great confirmation for them. Great just seeing that in their eyes.
Yeah. Okay. And then tell me, with everything that you've learned and things that you know, what is the one thing that you would love people to know about themselves that you think that if everybody knew that, we would live in a different world, probably?
Yeah. I think that if they knew that they have their own unique soul blueprint that they came in with, their soul has chosen to walk this path of this soul purpose that nobody else has, just them, and that inner knowing that come back to themselves and just not to rely on external sources, whether it's you were talking about earlier, doctors and things like that, just come back into themselves and their inner knowing, and to know that they come in with this unique soul blueprint. And if they start living that soul blueprint, that life purpose, everything comes in alignment. And if they start living with integrity as well, everything just falls onto their path with ease. And they just follow the breadcrumbs. It's always there. The signs are always there.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think it's sometimes hard to listen to it, right? It's just there's so much noise around that it
Yeah.
is really hard to pay attention because we're distracted and we don't even know if we're listening to ourselves or not. So that's why
Mm.
they recommend meditation as kind of like the easiest number one thing to do, is just taking the time to slow down a little bit and just to come back to yourself is so important. Do you have maybe some tips for people to do that? Because it sounds great, but
Mhm.
people generally don't know how to go about that. They don't know how to listen to themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, any tips?
For me, here in Ireland, I really do feel like after immigration and coming back to home again, it says just a kind of a high frequency kind of place, a spirituality place. Myself, and my friend went for a walk there, and we'd always go to sacred sites. And we were talking about meditation, and I said that I'd come here by myself and I'd ask the questions. And I'd get the answers. So any kind of ancient woods, beach, anything like that. For me, it's always nature, and just asking the questions and just being very like in that receptive mode and just being very grateful and not thinking about anything. Instead of putting yourself under pressure to stop all the noise, like just going for the walk and switching off, leave the phone in the car and just ask and you'll receive.
Is there anything else you'd like to leave us with? Any parting thoughts?
I would love that people, well, what's going to happen anyway, astrologically wise, is Neptune has moved into Aries, which means people actually have to start relying on themselves more and start knowing just going back into their own inner knowing. So I'd love if people start believing in themselves and have more self trust, and the answers are always within.
Great. Well, thank you. And thank you for giving that trust to people through the work that you do and for following your purpose and your mission and for being on Oracle. It's really great to have you.
Thank you so much.